So we've been on a little bit of a hiatus here on the DuFour podcast, but we're back after, I don't know, about a month. And this is episode, let's say 6. It might be 5, though. It could be 6. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. And so I thought it would be really interesting if I actually have a guy on my podcast that I actually don't know that well.
Are you going to get insulting right now? Or?
No.
Okay.
You know, this guy, let me tell you something about this guy. No, all my other guests I've had, I've known these guys for like 10 years. And like I was explaining to you in private, we've been working together for close to 2 years now, I would say.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. And you actually had a history in the professional wrestling business before we met. And so I just want to, have a little conversation.
All right.
Well,
let's.
So, Drew, you kind of bring something interesting to the professional wrestling industry because you are actually, you have a radio show, don't you?
I do.
See,
Monday through Friday, 105.9 Quick Rock.
And I thought it was cool because, like, the first time I met you, like, Chris Jericho says something.
I interviewed Chris Jericho in 2014. He did a concert for us for our 45th anniversary, and he did a liner for me and called me the sexiest beast in Pennsylvania. And
you've been using that?
I've been
pushing it to the moon.
Pushing that as hard as possible. I'm like, if Jericho says it, it's got to be true, right?
No, I mean, and that's really cool. So, how'd you get into radio? That's what I want to know.
Oh my God. I started when I was in high school back in, God, how long ago was that? Was that 88? 87.
Holy cow. So the year I was born.
December of 87. Yeah, I'm old.
Okay.
And I started working part-time for the local AM station in Warren, Pennsylvania, WNAE. And it just started from there. I did part-time work for 11 years, got out, had an opportunity to get back in about a year later. And I jumped at the chance, and I worked for the local rock station, Rock 103, and I did that for about a year or two. The company got bought out, and new ownership came in.
Let me ask you this.
And I got fired? Oh, ask me.
Now, if there was somebody who was interested in pursuing a career like yourself, would you say that monetarily, would you say it's worth it?
Oh, in radio?
Yeah.
Doug.
Depends what you do.
Hey, Doug.
Okay.
Depends what Doug's doing.
Yeah. Doug?
It depends what you do. If you were if you just added just to be just a radio guy, just on air, it's not going to pay incredibly much.
Sure.
Unless you're in a bigger market. It also depends on the market too. If you have other talents, like if you do production work, if you're in programming and things like that, that's when you start earning just more of a salary.
And the radio industry, it's kind of, there's not that big of a jump from that form of entertainment to professional wrestling. So, like, how did that link together? Did somebody hear you, or did you have a friend, or
with the pro wrestling thing?
Yeah.
When I was working for 105.9 Quick Rock, which is what I'm doing now, there was a local indie promotion that came through town that wanted to buy advertising, and my GM knew that I was a fan, so she introduced me to the promoters. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm a really big fan of wrestling, looking forward to being a part of this. I'd like to, come out to the show. Is there any way that maybe I could be a part of it, just do like a guest ring announcing spot? And they were like, yeah, sure, come on in. I did the guest ring announcing spot.
So you offered to do ring announcing?
I offered.
Huh.
I said, I would love to step in the ring. It's always been a dream of mine. They're like, yeah, come on in. We'll work something in for you. So they did. They also had a TV show. They brought me onto the TV show for one night, for one quick segment. I got to talk about how much I like the organization, how people should come to it, and that's it. And then that was it. From there, they were kind of interested in my quote-unquote character, and they liked my personality, and just offered me a spot on the show, and I became a wrestling character.
Well, you definitely have a specific voice. You've probably heard that before.
No, never heard that before. I've never heard that I have an announcer voice before.
That is great. So, and that is one connection that we do have, because the first thing I ever did in the professional wrestling business was ring announcer.
Really?
That was the first thing I ever got to do. Me and a bunch of guys signed up for a wrestling school. One of my buddies, they were like, you'll ref. The other guy, they're like, you're really ugly, out of shape. You will set the ring up and be happy about doing that.
You'll be the ring boy.
And then they looked at me and they said, if you get some dress clothes, we'll put you on the mic. We'll have you ring announce. God, I loved it.
Now, why did you go into wrestling then? Why did you?
I was training to.
You were training to wrestle, but
I
they
wanted
just
to
said you're going to be an announcer.
Yes, breaking into the business. Like the first. Actually, I think it was like the second event I did too. First event, training before the show, set up the ring, train, watch the show. Next show, they were like, "Yeah, go ahead and give you something to do."
See, I'm 46. I can't pull that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're like, you want to get in the ring, that's fine. You're going to announce, but there's no way you're going to be fighting anybody. I'm like, I'm not even trained. I'm not even physically fit. I'm 46. I break a hip and that's it.
That's
done.
kind of funny. Like, did you even inquire about it? They pulled you to the side and said, "Drew, you're not wrestling."
We had actually talked about it one time where I had gotten in a match with Cass Edison. And
I saw a clip of that.
There was a plan to have that done, and I don't think that ever came to fruition.
And how old were you at the time?
I think I was 45 when that happened.
45 when that happened.
So,
wow. Yeah, it is. It's very interesting where the wrestling business will take you. And something that kind of happened recently, I saw, you did your work with, the company that was around here, AON, and then Phoenix Pro Wrestling came.
We're allowed to mention AON.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, it's your podcast. What the hell?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. I mean, I wasn't there for it, so I don't know how big of a deal it is anyway.
You should have been.
Yeah.
we had a blast. A lot of fun.
I know Nikolai Volkov was around.
Volkov was around?
See, I was wrestling with Volkov in other areas, and you guys were wrestling Volkov up here. It's weird.
Oh, it's a common bond.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. But I noticed that you finally kind of broke out and went and did Eclipse Wrestling.
Yes.
So now you have, is that 3 altogether companies that you've been associated with?
That's 3 companies I've been associated with.
I mean, hey.
And I'm living, seriously, when I was sitting back about 12 years ago, before I even came down to the State College area, the center region, I wasn't doing anything. I was literally scraping together money. I was doing karaoke gigs, DJing, and, barely had a dollar to my name. And then the opportunity arose. They're like, "Hey, come on down here, do radio." I'm like, "All right, great." And when I came down here, that's when a lot of doors opened. The wrestling thing. I also do MMA. I've done the MMA ring announcing and stuff like that. In fact, I've got a bout coming up in July out in Allentown that I'm going to be doing.
Oh, cool.
So AON, Phoenix Pro, now Eclipse. So had I not moved down here, taken the chance, this never would have happened. So and anybody listening out there that, ever wants to take a chance at something and figured, nah, I shouldn't do it. Jump at the chance. The worst thing is you don't make it and you head back home. No big deal. But if you do make it, then a lot of doors are going to be opened up for you.
Yeah, the wrestling business is really all what you make it. And that goes for any industry that you're in.
Any business.
Yeah.
Always take a chance. Never be afraid to take a chance. Take a risk.
God, this podcast is just so inspirational.
It is.
Yeah.
Hallelujah, brother. Amen.
So, as far as commentary, you are on commentary for Phoenix Pro Wrestling.
I am.
And it is a 3-man team?
It's a 3-man team. Mike Edwards, the X-Man, and myself.
I mean, do you like that?
I do. I like it better than what I was doing before in Phoenix. They had me as the vice president of wrestling operations.
So, yeah.
That just wasn't for me.
You didn't like that?
I didn't like that at all. I wasn't really comfortable with it. When I was behind the microphone with the other 2, that's where I felt at home.
Okay.
And that's just my niche.
So, so Drew, the spotlight's a little bit more on you with a role like that. And commentary, you kind of take a step back with that. So are you saying that, like, comfortability wise, you'd rather be a little bit more behind the scenes?
I think I would. Just
I respect that, because there's plenty of guys who should be behind the scenes and they won't do it.
There's a lot of guys that are, I don't know how to word this. I think you have to do what you're comfortable doing. If you're out there in the spotlight and you're not feeling it, don't do it. If you're not feeling the energy, if you're not feeling the charisma, if it doesn't feel like a right fit, find something that fits you rather than to stand out there, because if you're uncomfortable, the audience is going to see that. They're going to see right through you. Do something that you're comfortable at. That's well, I actually left for like about a month or 2, and I sat down and I weighed my options. I said, all right, I kind of miss doing this. I'll come back. But I don't want to be that vice president character. I'd like to come back in commentary where I'm more comfortable, what I'm used to doing, and what I have fun at.
So you told them that?
Actually, they told me that, and I agreed to it.
Yeah.
So
I was just making sure this is the first time I've used this app.
running okay?
My phone went dark. So, as far as commentary goes, is there a style? Is there such thing as a style?
It's all dependent on your own personality. It's all dependent on the individual. I mean, there's guys that
Who would you compare yourself to if you had to?
If I had to, I'm me. I don't compare myself to anybody.
So you don't think you commentate like anybody? You don't think that there's anybody else that's ever even been similar to you?
I'd hate to say that because I don't know. I don't want to compare myself to anybody. I mean,
sure.
I could say, yeah, I try to emulate Bobby Heenan and Paul Heyman, but I think that's discrediting them because they have their own unique style. I don't want to imitate them. I don't want to be the next. You never want to be the next somebody. You always want to be the first you.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. And so we're here where we're recording this today. We're actually recording it at the Altoona. What the?
This is PNG Field.
Yeah.
Where the Altoona Curve play. Yeah, we're actually in the back parking lot, like at a weird alley type thing.
Yeah, there was a homeless man that just walked by us, and that was a little weird, but it's okay.
I gave him a sandwich.
Yeah.
How come you didn't give anything?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
But tonight's really cool because we get to, the performers, we get to come out and wrestle in front of, last year it was, I don't know, about 2,500, 3,000 people that stuck around for the wrestling.
Depending on who you talk to, yeah, it was anywhere between that number. It was fantastic.
Yeah. So tonight's really special, and we got to, Sergeant Slaughter was booked tonight. So what did that mean for you? Because I saw that you had a specific little something for him.
I mean, you grew up watching the guy. I grew up watching him when I was a kid, when he was a bad guy, when he was a heel. And then he made the transition when the Iron Sheik came in, became, an All-American hero. I saw the guy wrestle in the Erie Civic Center in Erie, Pennsylvania, in front of God knows how many people. And then a couple of years later.
What year was that? Did you saw him?
God, I can't remember. It was 80. I want to say it was 84.
So Drew had a poster, an old school poster signed, and that was from that show?
That was from 1987. He actually wrestled. It was WrestleMania 3 weekend. He did a show with a bunch of others. Wendy Richter was there. Dominic DiNucci, who trained a friend of yours.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the guy that works for Phoenix Pro Wrestling to this day. We have a guy, Todd. What does he work under? Like, is Todd something?
Todd Taylor.
Yeah, but he runs a couple other gimmicks, but he was actually trained by Dominic DiNucci, so that's really cool. There's a lot of linkage there.
Totally. But I had that poster. We had snagged it after the show. Unfortunately, I didn't get it autographed then, but I got it autographed now. 30 years I've held on to this thing, and it was pretty cool. Got to talk to Slaughter on the radio, as a matter of fact, a couple of days ago. That was a lot of fun.
That's impressive. Is he a good interview?
He's a great interview.
Yeah.
Very good. A lot of stories to tell.
Now, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I was in the... I had my own radio show for a long time.
I did not know that.
Yeah, wow. And I did entertainment interviews and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
And now, have you ever heard of the band As I Lay Dying?
I believe I've heard of them, yes.
They were pretty popular, and I had their guitarist come on. Horrible interview.
Really?
He was so boring. He mainly talked about some game that came out on the Wii that week.
That was it?
And we got into that, and he was like, oh, yeah, I'm actually stuck on this part, so my co-host played that same game.
Yeah.
So for 30 minutes, he explained to him how to get past this part in this damn game.
That's a great interview.
Needless to say, people were not happy. But have you ever heard of Shiny Toy Guns?
I have not.
Okay. They won a bunch of Grammys.
Other than actual shiny toy guns.
Sure. Okay. Well, shit, I'm trying to impress you. Because you're like, yeah, I interviewed Jericho, did all this stuff.
Interview Jericho, you interview Slaughter. Do you want me to go on?
Well, I mean, we do have one linking there with Jericho.
We do?
We do, because you interviewed him, and did he go on to say that it was the worst interview of his life? Or did you ever hear that?
I never heard that.
Okay, good. Because I worked on a show with Jericho. No, I have a point, I swear to God.
Okay.
Okay, so I wrestled on a show with Chris Jericho back in 2000. I want to say 9 or 2010.
Okay.
And it was his last indie booking before he re-signed with WWE. And then they did the code, like he introduced the code breaker, that gimmick. He came back for that gimmick. And so his last show, in his book, there is an entire paragraph dedicated to that show. He said it was the absolute worst thing he had ever been a part of, and that was the reason why he knew he needed to get back to WWE.
Which book?
I believe it was...
I know he's done, what, 3?
Like Undisputed something.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I felt honored about that. I was like, I was a part of the worst thing Jericho's ever done.
You have to wear that as a badge.
Yeah.
You have to wear that as a badge of honor.
And I had only been wrestling for like 3 years up to that point, so it felt really cool.
The thing about him, I had to drive him from the venue that he was playing to our studios and then drive it back. So I had to drive him in the boss's car. So number one, I've got the added pressure of driving my boss's car. Now I've got Chris Jericho in the passenger seat. So if I wreck, I'm pretty much screwed either way.
Wow.
So I get him to the venue. The conversation is minimal at best. And
really?
I asked, it was just really awkward. We didn't have really much to say. I tried a little chit chat.
Oh God! You didn't small talk him, did you?
I tried to small talk him.
Oh no!
And it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, they don't like that.
I got him on the air, and it was magic. It was great. It was one of the best interviews I think we'd ever done. Then got him back in the car and drove back. And
was it right back to square one?
It was right back. It was right back. We were silent. Nothing was spoken.
Was he on his phone or something?
He wasn't. He wasn't. He was just sitting there, just hanging
staring
out.
off.
I looked at him. I said, "Hey, there's a couple of restaurants over here. Are you sure you're good? Do you want me to pull over, grab you something?" I was like, "No, I'm good." I'm like, all right. Drove up. Said, "So, what are your thoughts about CM Punk and that whole deal?" And that was probably the wrong thing to ask.
Oh no!
Because he says, "You know what? I don't really care." All right. And left it at that. And it was dead silence for about a couple of minutes. And then he says, "Okay, here's the thing about CM Punk." And then he starts telling me about how he feels that, if he wants to do it, leave wrestling, that's his decision, and nobody else should, be upset by that. And he just chit-chatted a little bit about Punk, and that was it. And then it was dead conversation till we got to the venue. And
how long is this car drive?
This was about a 10-15 minute car drive.
Oh, I thought we were talking like 2 hours.
No. About 15, 20 minutes.
Well, that changes the story.
But it was still a little awkward.
Yeah, that is awkward.
And we got into, it was, well, I got him in the venue. I'm like, "Chris, thanks a lot, man." He's like, "Yeah, no problem, thank you." Shook my hand and then went on his way. And I think we came into contact one more time. I think it was the end of the night, and I had shook his hand and thanked him for everything. My daughter actually got to talk with him briefly.
That's really cool.
Talk to the other members of the band. But yeah, that was an incredible day. But yeah, that car ride was the most awkward thing. The worst interview I think I'd ever done, Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy was the worst because I had no preparation whatsoever. It was my first actual conversation with a professional wrestler.
Did you do this in person or was it over the phone?
This was in person. He was in our studios. He came in at about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we sat down. I did the afternoon show, the drive home, so we pre-recorded it. I didn't have any questions prepared at all. I didn't know what to ask.
Did you know you were interviewing Jeff Hardy?
I knew I was interviewing Jeff Hardy, and I was so nervous, I completely forgot to write any questions down. I phoned it in, I fangirled it, and and I had a couple other guys in the studio with me, and I'm like, "Do you guys have anything you want to ask him?" And
Please, they asked,
somebody speak up for God's sake, because I'm dying here.
That's great.
And then we wrapped it up. And I went, "Well, thanks, man. Appreciate. Anybody got any other questions? All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks for coming in, and Jeff." And I felt like I wasted the poor guy's time.
How? Like, oh God! Could you tell from him? Like, he was like, "All right, is that it?"
No, he was cool.
Oh.
He was totally cool about it. But I just felt it went horrible. I mean,
guys like that, he probably didn't care.
You got to be prepared for that kind of stuff.
It's like, I'm just going to the next town. I don't care.
So the next interview I did was a few years later. The next wrestler I had actually interviewed was The Miz, and I had everything was laid out. I had all the questions laid out, and that was great.
These are all things I had no clue.
Had to do
done all this.
Just had to do phone interview and stuff like that. Oh God,
it was a phone interview though.
This was a phone.
Okay.
He was doing a local house show. Jeff Hardy was there for Monday Night Raw. And
well, what would you prefer, a phone interview or in person?
I would love in person.
Yeah.
I actually just love to sit down. I mean, the pressure's kind of off of you on a phone interview, but you can't really see that person's reaction.
Right. Yeah, you can kind of play off. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
So, I mean, you kind of need to say, yeah, and like that. You could play off, play back and forth, just gauging on the reaction, stuff like that. But I would much rather do in-person interviews. Because that way you can, afterwards you get the picture and you get to talk to them a little bit afterwards. But
I feel like I need to tell you something.
Oh, no.
You remember Heidenreich was doing the Road Warrior Heidenreich deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I am the reason why he couldn't do it anymore.
What do you mean you're the reason?
I'm the reason.
What did you do?
Well, I had 2 shows. I had a wrestling show for a long time, then I had the entertainment one. So I've had interviews too with Road Warrior Animal, Coco Beware, who totally trashed Hulk Hogan for being racist. But anyway, that's that's another day there.
I would love to hear that one.
Couldn't be in the same locker room as Hogan. Hogan would always tell him, get the hell out of here, kind of thing.
Wow.
He said it wasn't just Hogan though. It was Savage too, guys like that. Yeah, all kinds of guys.
Wow.
But my point was Road Warrior Animal. So we're interviewing the guy, and I said, how do you feel about Heidenreich going on to the Indies and then donning the shoulder pads on other guys? And he said, huh?
He didn't know.
He was like, whoa, what are you talking about? I said, yeah, well, I went to a local indie show recently. Heidenreich was booked.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that Axel Rotten was booked too. And then for one night only, it was Road Warrior Heidenreich and Road Warrior Axel as the Road Warriors, and he was pissed.
Ooh.
He was like, well, I'll tell you this right now, I'm getting a hold of my lawyer. The second we got off the phone, I'm getting a hold of my lawyer. And I believe that was the last time that really I saw Heidenreich doing anything on the indie scene.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just want to apologize to Heidenreich. I did not.
I wouldn't apologize to him.
I didn't mean to blow your spot, but I don't know. Get the man's permission.
Like Heidenreich's going to be coming after you for this.
Oh, I'm not worried. He's
No,
like he was already old whenever he got.
I was going to say,
so,
too.
Yeah.
Nothing to apologize for.
Yeah. So pretty cool, man. Like I respect anybody who can do any kind of radio work because it takes a specific kind of creative person to just go.
It does, absolutely. You have to have a passion for it. Just like with wrestling. You have to have a passion for what you're doing. If you don't have that passion, you shouldn't be doing it.
Can you tell when commentating when somebody does not have passion? And how does that affect your commentary? If somebody's going through the motions, and you can just tell.
If they're going through the motions, it's difficult. It's difficult to do commentary because you want to try to put somebody over. And, if you're going through the motions and your heart's not into it, how do you put that guy over? How do you sing that guy's praises? If he's not doing the job that he's supposed to be doing. I mean, it's difficult. It's an extra added challenge.
Who's a guy that you love calling his matches?
Damn, that is.
Now we're getting a little local.
Yeah, we're getting a little local. You want me to say Travis DuFour?
I'm waiting for it, at least.
Travis, your matches are pretty good.
Honorable mention. All right.
I will say there's a few. Black Lightning.
Sure.
He's incredible.
See, the thing about Black Lightning is for any Phoenix Pro Wrestling fans out there that take a listen to the podcast and everything. If you want to know my genuine feelings about Black Lightning, the dude has no fear.
He doesn't.
He will risk it for the biscuit, if you will.
Is that a thing?
It is a thing.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
And I just, it's kind of inspiring to me, but it's, there's just some guys who are going to wrestle like that and put it all out on the line.
Right.
And then there's, guys like me, and I will cower as much as I can and keep my belt. That's all I want to do.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, man.
We're gimmicking it up a little bit here. But
we are. I feel like I'm turning back to heel Drew Shannon.
So you're probably a fan of Shane Malice then, people like him.
I dig Shane.
Yeah.
Shane's got an excellent wrestling style. The match between him and Lightning, as a matter of fact, one of my favorite matches to call.
Yeah. That's what a lot of guys have been saying lately. Deservingly so. They tore
absolutely.
down.
Absolutely. I wish I would have seen. No, wait a second. I was there for Lightning and Zach. that match was okay. That was a decent match, but
I think that one match the fans they might be waiting for is whenever he gets into the ring with me.
Who, Lightning?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty interesting.
Because he's all over the place.
He is.
And I am not. So you're gonna see it. You're gonna see a different side of either Lightning or me.
You're gonna get him gassed. Is that your intention?
I think he's gonna try to gas me. If we work, I think he's gonna try to gas me. But I'll take your knee out.
Wow. All right.
I'm not trying to set up a damn Black Lightning match.
You are.
I mean,
I
I'm
think
just
that's exactly what you're doing.
I put him over about 5 minutes ago, but now I'm just telling you. I'm telling everybody out there to listen to this.
Well, speak the truth.
I do respect the guy.
You have to. I mean, he's come up in the ranks. As far as a wrestler.
He posted today that he is coming to this baseball field today to wrestle in front of all these people, and he kind of like touched base on where he came from, like wrestling with all of his buddies. They all bought a ring, and then they all went and got trained, and now years and years and years later, he's going to be wrestling in front of 3,000 people tonight. It's beautiful.
It is. It's amazing. That's an amazing story.
And as far as commentary, you'll be out there too, right?
I'll be out there too.
See, it just shows how much I know about what's going on tonight.
You know so much about what's going on.
Yeah.
Yet nobody knew where the tickets were for anybody tonight.
Yeah.
They all were like, Drew knows. Drew doesn't know shit. I don't know. Can we swear on this, by the way?
Sure.
Oh, fuck yeah. All right. Drew doesn't know shit. I'm like, I don't know, but they said they were going to bring the tickets down. They were going to scan them, bring them down to us, and I don't know anything. Go talk to Manic. Bother him for a while. But
So what's your favorite venue that we've run? The Johnstown crowd, the Altoona crowd? Does it make a difference
Altoona
to you?
crowd's always been my favorite.
Yeah?
Altoona crowd, when I was in AON and I was originally a heel, it didn't take Altoona long when I made that transition from heel to face. It didn't take them long to make that transition with me. Johnstown was a completely different story. Johnstown booed the hell out of me, no matter who I was. It took, I think it almost took an act of Congress to get them to actually like me for a while. And I think there's people that still hate me. And it's just like, okay, whatever.
Now, in your opinion, what makes or breaks a match?
Wow,
that's a loaded question. That's kind of a broad question, though.
That is a very broad question. That's a tough one. What makes a match is not only the build up to, but just the in-ring ability of both guys. The ability for both guys to work together. I mean, because wrestling isn't just two guys in the ring rolling around or whatever. It's an art form. It's almost like a dance, if you will. And you just have to have the right chemistry, I guess. What breaks a match is if one guy is a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for?
I think
help me with this.
Something that I was told very early in my career is that if it's not real to you, then nobody's investing anything in it.
There you go.
Is that what you were going for?
I think that's along the lines.
Yeah.
Along the lines. I get flustered, what can I say?
Yeah.
Early onset dementia, I don't know. Could it be? Possibly.
Yeah, if I watch your match and then at the end of the day, final thoughts on the match was, well, I mean, that one or two moves, that's really impressive, but I didn't really understand, the story, why this match was happening.
Right.
If that's the case, your match was shit. I'm sorry.
Exactly. If you don't understand, if you don't have an understanding of what's going on, and yeah, like you said, if one or two moves is great, but the rest was like, then yeah, it's just not.
Yeah, somebody put it to me really good the other day. They said, "What are you going to remember more? Are you going to remember Petey Williams' Canadian Destroyer, or Ric Flair's promos?"
You're going to remember Ric Flair's promos.
Yep.
The man. I mean, you gonna remember Frankie Williams in the ring. You're gonna remember Frankie Williams getting his ass kicked by Roddy Piper at Piper's Pit.
Now I'm gonna be honest with you. You're showing your age a little. I have no clue who Frankie Williams is.
Are you kidding? You don't know that Frankie Williams was this jobber from Columbus, Ohio. He goes onto Piper's Pit, and Piper just starts berating him, and then just eventually beats the hell out of him. It's one of Piper's better pits. I mean, it ranks up there with Snuka getting hit over the head with a coconut and the whole Cyndi Lauper thing.
So it sounds like
you don't even. Do you know about those?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. If there's been a highlight clip at some point, top 10 moments in this guy's career.
I'm old.
You got to remember, I was born in '88. We established that.
I know, you were born the year before I graduated high school.
The first match I ever remember seeing was Nails versus The Undertaker.
Oh my God.
That was the first match I remember seeing.
My first match I remember, we were flipping I was like 6, I think, at the time. We were flipping the dial, and I thought it was boxing. I didn't know. I was a kid. I had no clue what was going on. All I saw was, because this is the day, these were the days where, it was Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, the boxing was huge. My dad had flipped over the channel to the local Erie station, and there was a ring, which I thought was boxing.
Sure.
It was wrestling. And there was this guy who was, bald guy covered in fur and had a green tongue. I'm like, that boxer's got a green tongue, that's freaky. And then we just flipped the dial again.
Was it Graham?
No, it was George the Animal Steel.
Oh,
it was the first wrestler I had ever seen.
Wow.
Fast forward to when I was like about 10, 11 and started getting into professional wrestling. And I'm like, oh, that's the guy I saw when I was 6. So...
I know the first indie wrestling card that I went to, it was because I was watching Monday Night Raw, and then they said, at the Berkeley County Fairgrounds, get ready for Greg Valentine, Demolition Axe, Ivan Koloff. And I was like, who's Ivan Koloff? But I know who Valentine is.
Yeah.
I know who Koloff is now.
Right.
But at that time, I was like, okay, I don't know who the hell that is, but Demolition, man. Huge mark for Demolition.
Well, when I was a kid, I didn't even know that there were other wrestling organizations. I didn't know there was an NWA, there was an AWA. It wasn't until we got cable TV in our town,
right,
that we suddenly knew that there was a promotion in Atlanta called, there was the NWA, and here's Ric Flair wrestling in front of, back in the old days when they did it in the TV studio, and there's like 2 rows of fans, and I had no idea that they were as big as they were. And then you had the AWA out of Minneapolis, and it just opened my eyes to a lot of different stuff.
Now, to touch base on kind of my era in the 90s, what were you? Were you a WCW guy or a WWF guy?
I was WWF guy. I was WWF all the way. I'm a little WCW, but I was more WWF because that's what I grew up with.
See, the first legitimate fight that I ever got into my whole life was there was a kid who came to school wearing a Wolfpack shirt. And he looked at me in my DX shirt, and he said, I don't know why you watch that trash. And I said, I'll see you at lunch. Smack the shit out of the kid.
Oh my God, dude.
You just don't talk shit on WWF, that's it. Yeah. That's all I ask.
I remember I was sick one day, and I had missed a test in one of my classes in high school. And the teacher was like, all right, I need you to take your desk out in the hallway and take the test while we do that. I'm like, all right. So I did. Normally when you were in the hallway in a desk, you were in trouble.
Yeah.
It was something, you had disrupted class or something like that. So I was sitting there doing this test, and I was wearing my Junkyard Dog shirt, JYD, which was JYD. It was his face on this dog's body, and it looked like the dog was taking a shit. In retrospect, probably about the worst shirt that WWF could have ever produced.
And then you bought it.
And then I bought it because it was a Junkyard Dog. I'm like, yeah, JYD. And then looking years later, I'm like, is he dropping it? What the fuck is this? So this teacher had walked past, and I was doing the test, and he looked at me and he said, think JYD would be pretty proud of you? And then he walked away. I'm like, where the hell did that come from? So, yeah, that was pretty much it.
I thought that story was leading to you like smacking somebody.
I picked up the desk and I beat the shit out of a teacher.
Good for you, Drew.
I pounded the hell out of that mother.
He deserved it.
He did, that son of a bitch. No, everybody was pretty much a WWF mark in high school. Because, like I said, it wasn't until the town got cable TV that we realized, oh, there's Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. And there was actually our high school had fraternities, actually, and one of them was the Four Horsemen. And guys would walk around they would walk around in suits on Ric Flair's birthday.
Oh my God.
Walk around the high school. I'm like, damn, that's dedication.
I'm just jealous of that because like I never experienced anything like that in school.
Never.
No. There wasn't a Ric Flair day. No.
No. Maybe you should have had one.
I think so.
You should have been the leader of it.
So to kind of, we're gonna go ahead and take it home because
We're taking it home?
I don't know. It's getting a little late. It's 6:27 p.m. and I guess.
Oh damn! We've been talking for a while.
Yeah, we have. And I don't know. It's been a big honor having you on the podcast.
Honestly, it's been a big honor being here. You're a hell of a guy. You're a hell of a talent. And
You're just saying that.
I know I'm not. Yeah, I am. All right, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you better babyface it.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks for tuning in. I don't know if that's the right term, tuning in. This is pre-recorded. Thanks for clicking the YouTube link.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for clicking that.
Yeah. And for more information on Drew's wrestling endeavors, you can find him at Drew Shannon. Do you have a Facebook page?
I have a Facebook page.
Okay. Like a like page.
Like a like page.
Okay.
I have a like page. So just look up Drew Shannon. You'll find it. It's at official Drew Shannon. I have a Twitter, but I don't use it. So screw Twitter.
I couldn't agree more.
I don't see the point in it. I'm like,
And that's where we'll end it.
we'll just end it there.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.